we are live. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. And I think this time we have it working properly. I am live on YouTube, and then I have TikTok going live over here. I'm trying to do it at the same time and just see kind of how it goes. Thank you, everybody who's able to join tonight. I am Alina with Crime Scene Collective. We are a victims advocacy foundation. We focus on helping the victims in crimes and cases that need a specific outreach, that want their case kind of broadcasted, that they want more of an attention, whether it's MSM, whether it's through podcasts, through social media, through doing it on platforms such as this, creators, YouTubes, TikToks, such as that, or we can also bring it in if they have their story being overshared and they're like, look, we don't like all of this attention on us. What can you do to push it back? Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll want to talk, but right now we don't. So we can also, because we have resources and we're connected with all of these different platforms and these MSM companies like Court TV and platforms like that and industries like that, we can reach out to them and say, hey, can you guys give them a beat right now? They don't want to talk, but maybe in a couple weeks they will, and we'll get back to you. We'll circle back and we'll make that connection if they're ready and if they're willing to talk at that point. So we're just kind of that like warm blanket around the families that either want it or they don't. So that's who we are. So tonight we are going to be discussing just updates around some hot cases that we have in front of us. One of them is Brian Kohberger. For those of us that do know, Brian Kohberger is a convicted murderer. He is convicted of 4 counts of murder plus 1 count of burglary, which total 5 felonies. He got life sentence plus 10 years. When he pled guilty to all of this, and he pled guilty a year ago. But at that time, we did know that there was a loophole, and we knew that loophole was that he can file a post-conviction relief petition, and that expired in September of 2026. So a lot of us were kind of, hi Jeannie, a lot of us were kind of, hi everybody for joining here on TikTok as well. James, Kendra, thank you for joining, thank you for sharing, thank you for liking. Also go over to TikTok, give us a subscribe. We need more subscribers on there so we can do more lives for everybody. So now with this loophole, we kind of all were holding our breaths for this September date of 2026, but he filed it sooner than that. He filed it in July. The date that he wrote his petition was July 22nd. Does that matter? I don't know. For people that are really into following true crime, hi Beth, following true crime and maybe seeing if there's some numbers related, or if this is related to other cases, or if he's trying to maybe have certain things correlate with dates of other serial killers. We don't know. I mean, not that he's necessarily a serial killer. He's more of a mass murderer because he did this all at once. So if we're looking at it through that angle, well, hi Natty, well then we would be thinking that July 22nd is the day he filed it, July 23rd is the day that he was sentenced a year ago, and somebody that we think that he kind of looks up to is Theodore Bundy, and he was sentenced on July 24th. So those are those 3 dates that kind of align. Well, for those that are following things like that and may think that this is correlated, there's some number game for you that you may put together if you're interested. Aside from that, he did ask for the state and the county to pay for any investigative work, discovery, depositions, interviews that would need to happen during this appeal petition to withdraw his plea, his guilty plea. But he wants to do this, but he wants the state of Idaho to, hi Joanna, he wants the state of Idaho. Michelle, thank you for liking the live and sharing and joining us. Suzanne, thank you for joining. Katie and Ali, thank you for joining. So he wants to do all this. He wants to cause all this ruckus with this case, but he wants the state to pay for it. And then on the next line it says, and do you want a public defender? Because obviously he can't afford one, and then he has to fill out a form explaining why he can't afford one, I assume. And he ticked that box as well, saying, yes, I would like a public defender. So now we know that he would like the state to also supply his counsel for this, just like they did for his defense for the crimes that he is in jail for, he's an inmate for, and that is the murders. Which is another thing that we know his reasoning for this post-conviction petition. It is ineffective counsel. So not only is he now claiming that he had ineffective counsel for these murders, but now he wants the state to give him a public defender again to defend him for the ineffective counsel. And then I'm thinking, why? So then if you don't win that case again, then in another year or whenever that wraps up, you can come after them and have the state pay for that again. You're just going to continue to do this because why? Because essentially you possibly can, because there's all these loopholes, and you're going to just keep filing stuff as long as you find the right timing and do it on everybody else's dime. Come on, bro, cut it out. Honestly, cut the shit. So there was that. And then we find out the following day, or 2 days later, I believe it was the following day, that Judge Hippler granted him his public defender. So a lot of people that are following this case are thinking, oh, what does that mean? Does that mean that that this post-conviction appeal is moving forward? Is that what this means? Because on one hand, we're watching all these other YouTubes and interviews on TV, and there's all these other creators having interviews with lawyers and professionals and investigators and people that have spent their lives dedicated to situations like this, and they're saying, oh, absolutely not, he doesn't stand a chance. But all of a sudden we see that it moves forward with him getting granted his public defender. But I've asked around, and it's kind of, I can't give a definitive answer from what I understand. It's just a basic protocol that if, this is petitioned, an appeal is petitioned, then a judge has to, because there's actually no reasoning not to at this point. So they basically don't want to give him any other reasonings to sue, or to file any more motions. Just let's not give him any other reason to complain. So let's just see how it goes, essentially. So then we have that, right? Let me wet my throat. So that gets everybody stirring and wondering what's going on. And other than that, we're just kind of dependent on listening to what everybody's opinions are regarding if this is going to move forward or not. Some of these opinions say that even if this does move forward, it's going to take a long time. It can take years. It could take up to 5 years, maybe even longer. It could take a year even until we find out if they're even going to start interviewing any of the counsel, his defense side and the prosecution. All of this is going to be a very slow process, and we shouldn't expect to have any any big movements at any point soon. So then that just, given that information, that makes other people just find things to talk about. So we have these, as we call them, pro-burgers, and pro-burgers are kind of the group of people that claim that Brian Kohberger is innocent and that he was set up and that he deserves a new case to be heard. I can't say retrial because there wasn't ever a trial to begin with, but that he deserves all of this to be moved. Hi, Christy, to be moved forward, and all of this, that he was shafted in the beginning, the first time around. This, he was a patsy, he was this, he was set up, he was never there. All these different theories, right? So there's one creator. I'm not going to name anybody by names because any press is good press. So I don't want to. I know I have a total of like 2 people in here. I don't want to send all 2 of you over there, but there's one creator that suddenly starts sharing, kind of bragging that they've been in contact with one of Brian Kohberger's family members, and they said they showed even the screenshots of it. I was trying to get them before I started, but I don't know if I got it. Hold on, let me see here. Yes, I did. Okay, so thank you, Natty, for sending it to me. So they decided that they were going to go to, and it's Brian's sister Mel that is now saying, yes, you can now share that I've been in touch with you, with this creator from YouTube, and you can let your followers know that we've been in touch and we've been speaking, and you can also share with them that my family plans on insisting that my brother is innocent. Let me try to read some of this. Mel says, yeah, I can finally openly say I believe in my brother's innocence. And then the creator says, I wish I could share this, but I'm glad it's out there in some way. It's time. And then Mel says, you can share this. I believe he's innocent, yes. And then the person says, that means I would officially have to tell them that we have been in contact if you are okay with that. And Mel says, my mom wanted to add, the whole family believes he's innocent and that she doesn't care if you share that. And Mel continues to say, that is completely fine with me. You can let them know we have been in contact. Just know there are some things I can't talk about at the moment still, but I thank everyone for their support. So that is from Mel Kohberger. And so that seemed, everyone was like, oh wow, bombshell, right? That's some big news. Well, maybe, right? Maybe it is, but maybe it isn't. I mean, I guess for a lot of people it could be if you're following this and nobody's really heard from the Kohberger family, but I am here to tell you that I have messages of him messaging with 2 of my friends, not Brian, Brian's uncle messaging with 2 of my friends. And it's not breaking news that the Kohberger family is speaking to the public and that Kohberger's family is on social media and that Kohberger's family has an opinion on their family member's case. I mean, this at one point, this is literally the biggest case, not only in the nation, but in the world. I mean, I can attest to that. I ran the largest group for it. I don't anymore, but I did, and I knew where all of the people were coming in from. I had upwards of 250,000 members in that group, and I mean, there was members from all over the world, and they were following this to the core, and and they probably still are. And it's not, it shouldn't be a surprise that his own family is thoroughly invested in this. So I'm happy to read some of the messages between his uncle and some of my own friends. So this is some of his uncle's words. He says, we all want to know the truth, and it seems we're not getting it. Do you have any information about a patsy? That's all I'll say. There's one. And then there's another one. He says, his parents believe in his innocence, which is understandable. Most parents would in that situation. And then my friend says, do you all talk to him? Do you think he'll try for an appeal? Interesting that this was asked. And I'm not sure the timeline on this, but I believe this was possibly October of 2025. So when asked if he would try for the appeal, the answer from the uncle was, have not been able to speak with him. I'm not aware of whether an appeal is available to him. But if it is, I would hope he would pursue it. Let me see. He also gives a message to the Gonzalez family through my friend. And he says, if you could let the family know and you could show them this, I am very sympathetic to them. I am a twin also, so anybody who says anything differently is wrong and out of their minds. Let's see, what else did he say? Another thing he said, and as you know, media outlets love to twist things into whatever sells best. From the start, I told his legal team that what happened looked like a ritual type killing, something that would take far longer than 14 minutes, and something I don't believe one person can pull off. But people believe what they want. Another interesting comment from him. On the opinion of whether or not Brian Kohberger worked alone, he says, it sounds like you've already noticed the discrepancies yourself. The timeline and the car details don't seem to line up. So you basically answered the $1 million question. Whatever that was referring to. So I just have to check one thing here, guys. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the conversation between, as we call him, Uncle K, and two personal friends of mine, basically to show also that it's not bombshell news for members of the Kohberger family to speak to people online. I mean, they are human, and they're probably wondering what the public is feeling and want some takes on the perception of how they're received as well. This is their family, and their last name is impacted severely. We have Jeannie says, why is the family only now professing their belief in creep? Why weren't they loud prior to his plea? I would have been screaming from the rooftops. That's a great thing to bring up. You're right. Nobody brought this up that he's innocent. There was no, they've had so many opportunities. His sister did an article, and it was more of to me, it seemed more sympathetic, like, oh, my poor brother, we're gonna fight for him, this and that. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, can you guys believe what's happening to my brother? Like, it wasn't him. He didn't do it. This is not right. What's happening to our family? We've been crucified in the eyes of the public. All this and that. There was none of that. It was, oh, he misses his dog. He's hungry. I don't know. I mean, it was just kind of different. Jeannie also asked, where did he see that the timelines don't match? This is just screenshots that I'm receiving from conversations. So these are dated from almost a year ago. So I don't know right now. I'd have to go back and ask. Bethy Tucker says, I can't understand how anyone can think he's innocent. Everything points to him like a bullseye on a dartboard. It's true. And not only just in theory and in the documents and in, the written in verbiage and all in context and this and explanation, but scientifically it points to him. If we look at the DNA, his pings on his phone, everything, the videos, the technological aspect of this, there's just barely, I can't think of anything that doesn't point to him. And if they want to scream his innocence right now, they're going to have to also present the alternative the alternative theory for this. Because if it wasn't him, then he needs to have a better alibi. He needs to have a better explanation for what he was doing around all these times, other than stargazing and this and that, especially on a foggy night. And also he's going to have to, his lawyers are going to have to explain why there was no pings to that residence or near that residence or even that area after the crimes. So why such high level of activity near that area prior and during, but nothing after? Why all of a sudden the disinterest? What happened? Just explain it. We're not saying that, oh, that points to him. Just explain it, buddy. Just explain it. Oh, and while you're at it, while you're in the explaining, while we're on that path of explanations, can you just tell us what happened to that knife you had and you ordered and then tried to order again because you liked it so much you wanted 2 of them? So what happened with it? Where is it? Like, come on, bro, get out of here. Like, Joanna says, I thought the same thing. The sister basically kept the same look on her face as BK did, just as, stoic. And I'm not trying to come after the family. I'm not. I'm just trying to point out that, I'm just trying to point out that this creator is trying to make themselves very, important and sensationalize themselves because they were talking to a Kohberger family member. A lot of people were. You're not that special. I also just got an article of, somebody that's in the industry that was talking to the sister too. Like, a lot of people were. She's obviously working the circuit, Come on now. Christy says one of the family members, no matter what they did, they'd have been torn apart. I'm like, hi, widow.
Hey.
I'm like, well, it seems like if you were just being honest, your natural reactions would show truth. Yeah, that's true. We would. We would just see their devastation, their natural demeanors throughout this entire process, and we have yet to see any of that. And now this, and now they think they're going to come in and puff out their chests and want to fight this in this manner. Come on. How are you, widow?
I'm pretty shaken up right now.
What's wrong?
My hometown of Twin Falls, Idaho,
I heard about
had
this.
a mass shooting, and so I'm still waiting on friends and family.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Guys, we had a shooting at the In-N-Out in Twin Falls, Idaho, about, what was it, 2, 3 hours ago?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about it? We have Widow here on TikTok. She's joining us, but I think everyone can hear her. Do you want to tell us about it?
The In-N-Out, it's pretty new. It only has been open for the last couple of months. So there was a lot of people there. It looked like to me that an actual hero might have stopped more happening. There was someone that got out of their vehicle with their weapon and started shooting back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So,
Oh my gosh.
It's right on the Snake River Bridge. It's called the Prime Bridge. And yeah, I grew up there, graduated from Twin Falls High. It's just, my stomach's been churning.
Oh my gosh. We just had somebody ask, Christy asked, was there 2 shooters?
There wasn't 2 shooters. There was a guy that got out once the other guy started going after people, and I think he's the one that stopped the shooting from going any further.
And I saw 2 different reports on vehicles. Was it a white Honda Civic or a white Volkswagen?
I'm not sure on the vehicle yet. I've just been kind of waiting and seeing. I've had some friends check in saying that they're safe. There was some that were in the vicinity, heard everything that went down, but they're safe.
Wow.
So.
And are there casualties?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry if I missed that.
At least 3 are deceased, and many others, they say, are injured. There was a red SUV that pulled up, I guess, to the hospital, which thankfully the hospital is very close to that location, and they were banging on the emergency room doors.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just been, I was talking to my parents here just a little bit ago, and we're just all shocked because Twin Falls, it's growing, but it's still not a very big town. So I think there's about 50,000 people there.
Oh my gosh. That's not big at all.
No. And so, it's just.
A man and his wife were both shot while they were charging their Tesla. The man passed away.
Oh man.
Thank you, Christy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. I just don't know. It's really bad to say, but I really pray and hope that it's no one I know. And I don't recognize the person. I've seen a still shot of the person. Don't recognize him, but the shirt looks like it has something to do with law enforcement. So I don't know.
He looked kind of young, too.
Yeah.
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 He looked like early, like I would say maybe 20.
Yeah. in his 20s or around that area is what I'm thinking. So I've just been watching anything and everything I can for updates.
Oh my God.
And I still have an aunt and uncle that live there. My parents moved out of there to Arizona 3 or 4 years ago. But my best friends and a lot of my classmates that I still am very close with still live there, and they have their kids and families there.
Wow. And there's no other information like.
They held a press conference, the police department did, but said they didn't have much information to share at this point, that they were still getting numbers of people injured and deceased. So, yeah.
Wow. Do we know if it's any children?
Don't know yet.
And it looked like a AR-15, like a semi-automatic gun too. Like it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was big. It was an AR.
Yeah.
And the videos that I keep seeing are just absolutely just crazy.
The videos are devastating. Like,
yeah,
he just was walking around the parking lot and just just going by the cars area. And just going near the cars and just blasting away in the middle of the day, it looked like, and if that was 3 hours ago, so that would have been at what time over there, your time? So 5 o'clock, 6 or 4 o'clock?
Yeah, 4, 3 o'clock. And I mean, this is a busy area of town. This is where all the shopping is. Like I said, Prime Bridge is there. It's one of the only bridges that let base jumpers jump. So you have all the base jumpers and people watching that happen. So at any given time, there's hundreds, not thousands of people in that area. The mall's right across the street.
Somebody said that he was wearing a military Stephanie, thank you. He was wearing a military patch.
Okay, is that what that was then?
Possibly.
I saw the patch and I didn't know what it was. Someone thought it was law enforcement, but they weren't sure. They put it through ChatGPT and it brought up law enforcement of some sort.
Christy mentioned that she thinks he had 2 guns. Have you heard anything like that?
Wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I haven't heard that yet.
Did he have like a backpack or anything?
Didn't look like it.
I didn't see that
he
either.
Just had the gun and that was it.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me as well.
And there was a white SUV where people got out, and I got to go back through that footage again, but I think that's when the other person, and how they're calling him the Patriot, he got out and started going after him.
Wow.
So he was really brave, whoever that person is, and I thank him.
Yeah. Wow. How commendable.
Yep. Not a lot of people would do that.
No, they wouldn't.
But that area, we're very big on hunting and different things like that, so people do carry. So, and my brother had just passed through there on his way back home, and he probably was through there maybe 35, 45 minutes before the thing happened. So I'm glad he didn't stop in Twin Falls.
Wow.
he went to Boise instead, to
Wow.
get somebody. So,
Wow.
but I'm gonna hop off real quick.
Okay.
I'll be back if I get any new information.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank
Well, we'll be
you.
thinking about you guys, and I'll be
Yep.
checking back. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Love ya.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you later. Well, that's devastating. That's sad. Like, what happened? Some guy just decided to bring his gun and blast away in some parking lot, in and out. Like, first of all, one of the best burger places out there. And now Christy's saying 30 minutes ago, mass stabbing in Denver. It's just Saturday night, guys. Can we just enjoy each other? Stephanie says, I'm all over Nancy case. Yeah, a lot of people are over it. I'm going to try not to talk about it that much. Like, I just have brief updates about the Nancy case. So, as we know, Savannah released a statement, so I'll just read the statement to you guys. Savannah says, this is our beautiful mom. 6 months ago, someone took her out of her bed in the dead of the night. We have lived every moment, every breath, and every heartbeat in agony and despair ever since. Every day we wake up and try to be strong and go on because that's what our joyful and resilient mom taught us to do. But make no mistake, our hearts are in ruins. Cam and Christine, Annie and Tommy, Mike and me, we spend every waking moment thinking of her, longing for her, looking for her. There is a hole inside of us that can never be filled. There is an ache that cannot be softened. And there is a determination in us that cannot be quenched to find out what happened to her so that we can give her the dignity of a proper goodbye, a celebration of her remarkable life that she so deserves. We are begging for help. We are desperate. We need someone to come forward. Someone knows something. Someone suspects something. Someone recognizes the writing in the ransom demand notes. Someone has noticed something different, strange, troubling, or just unusual. Perhaps with someone they deeply love. Perhaps they are afraid to come forward. Perhaps they are conflicted. Perhaps they are angry or upset for being in this situation. Perhaps. There is a way out to tell what you know. You can do so anonymously. The reward is available. There is a way to end the situation and do the right thing. We are real people facing real grief, doing the best we can and counting our many blessings along the way, most especially the prayers and love from good people, which we feel deeply. We need your prayers. We need your kindness. We need the good to be stronger than the evil. If you are following this story for entertainment or for profit, you are not on her side. You are part of the harm perpetuated against her. We will never stop looking for answers, and we will never stop looking for the light. We will always be hoping and praying and believing in the best of our world in spite of the circumstance. This is what our faith makes possible. Please let her go. Bring her home. And that is from Savannah. There is also the ransom letters released, unredacted. I will read those as well. Let me make sure I'm not missing any comments. Christy says, Savannah got personal today. She did. Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing. Make sure you let everybody know that I'm here live discussing these cases. You're welcome, Jeannie. Jeannie says I had not heard Savannah today, so that's the first time. So now I'll read the unredacted, my face is so shiny, it's hot here today. It's like in the hundreds. The unredacted ransom letters, now they're calling them. Demands, they keep changing letters, notes, demands. So the first one, hello, Savannah. We have your mother, Nancy. She is safe but scared. She will be held for ransom, and once payment is received, she will be released unharmed. We will be holding her for a maximum of 7 days. You will need to send Bitcoin in the amount of 4 million USD before 5 p.m. on Thursday the 5th. If payment is not received, the ransom will be increased to 6 million USD, which will need to be paid by 5 p.m. on Monday the 9th. Once payment is received to the Bitcoin address below, she will be released within 12 hours of deposit to a safe drop-off location back in Tucson. If payment is not received by the last deadline on Monday the 9th at 5 p.m., she will be killed. Your mother is aware of this and her life is in your hands. It is in the best interest of everyone to have this completed as soon as possible. You will not be able to contact me from here on out. There will be no negotiation. Do not play games. Law enforcement will not be able to help you. And then the Bitcoin address is provided. And then it says, she has a white smartwatch on the floor of the foot of her bed, and the white floodlight in the backyard was destroyed. So that bottom part, where it says she had, that's past tense, had a white smartwatch on the floor of the foot of her bed, and the white floodlight in the backyard was destroyed. So I guess that was the secret information that was given in that first letter, to where they thought it was solid enough to determine that it was definitely from the abductors, the kidnappers, and this was ironclad, good enough. They think they have mother, right? So then the next one is sent, and it says, now remember, the first one here says, hello, Savannah, more personal. Now the second one says, Guthrie family, comma. We did not fully grasp the seriousness of her physical condition. We never intended to hurt her. That was not our intention. She perished shortly after she was taken. We believe it was heart-related. She is buried in nature now. Nothing you could have done could have changed the outcome. We want your family to know this and hope you can all find peace. We are truly sorry. So, takeaways from that. Christy says, one thing she says here is, so maybe they haven't been giving updates because the perp said not to. They've been playing his game. Who is they? Who do you mean by they? While we're waiting for that answer, Brian Enton, I love watching anything he puts out on this case or any other case. He is our news daddy. He's always giving us good information on all of the cases that we are following. Let's see. So Christy says, so maybe they haven't been giving updates because the perp said not to. They've been playing his game, Nanos' game. The Guthries have been playing Nanos' game. Well, yeah, I think the Guthries have a team of not only members of Pima County, they have lawyers, they probably have medical professionals like therapists, all kind of coming together to assist in the decision making on how to move forward in this. I really do. Christy says, Perps says, don't go to police, don't go to anyone. Am I in the movies? No, you're in the Truman Show. We all are. So just based on, I want to touch back on these ransoms because, so I was saying Brian Enton did a show on YouTube, and he talked about a lot of things, and I took some notes, but one thing, he had Dr. Brucato on, which we all love, and any of his insight is always just, we just want to lap it up and be like, yes, what did he say? It's always fantastic. But something interesting is, Dr. Brucato says he thinks there's three psyches playing into this case with these letters, with the porch guy, and all of it. And three meaning one is porch guy, second is person that wrote ransom note number 1, and third psyche is a person that wrote ransom letter number 2. So in Dr. Gary Brucato's mind, he's thinking that all three people are unrelated and all have a play in this. Now, are they completely unrelated? I'm not sure. But again, that kind of falls into my wrench kidnapping theory, because that means that there's players in this and there's levels of involvement and how they're all associated and their level of involvement as to what their job was in this entire process and to achieve whatever there was to achieve. I'm not sure, the money, a message, but I know it was, I wholeheartedly in my, like, I'd give my left tit to prove it, that it was never to take her life. I really don't. I think that was the biggest mistake that happened in this entire thing, that she got scared, and I think her heart gave out, and I think that is true. But he does think that there's three players. So porch guy, person letter number 1, person letter 2. So he thinks that person letter 1 comes off very aggressively and has like this demeanor of aggression and like, pay me, give me what we want, and we'll give you what you want, right? And then the other person with letter 2, their demeanor is very soft and more compassionate and more like, we've all heard this before, that it's more apologetic, and that, that's a total different sides of the spectrum in the psychology of who writes ransom letters, basically. And it's just kind of, it brings so much more, how do we kind of like how do I explain this? Like, it brings a different level of looking into this case, because they can't follow a pattern, essentially. So that's kind of what I want to say. It's hard for them to follow a pattern because the letters don't follow a pattern. We got one person being aggressive and now the next person being all sweet and kind. So in my mind, I'd be like, well, maybe it's a male and female team. I don't know. Maybe porch guy was letter writer number 1, and then maybe his, his wife or somebody at home, like Savannah was mentioning in her letter, she was saying that maybe it's somebody someone has noticed something different, strange, troubling, or just unusual. Perhaps someone that they deeply love. Perhaps they are afraid to come forward. Maybe that person noticed something troubling with somebody they deeply love, and that's that softer letter. I don't know. Just opinion of mine. I don't know. So that's just one update with this letter, the ransom, and Gary Brucato on how he thinks there could be three different personalities kind of mixed into this. And in the long run, he also thinks that if there are that many different players in this, that it just gives more potential for them to get sloppy and for them to talk, because it's going to eat away at them, and they can get into an argument down the road in a year, 2 years, 3 years. Maybe they'll go separate ways, and somebody will be enticed to talk because of the reward money. And the more players you add to a situation like this, the more likely somebody is going to turn on them. So if they are, if there are three different people, it does kind of add to the likelihood of, let's just hope that they all end up being a Larry Curly Moe and turn on each other eventually and tell on each other. Other Guthrie news, I know a lot of people are bored with it. Let me just make sure we're not missing any other comments. We have Jeannie saying, after listening to Dr. Gary and Brian, it seems that we should be looking for more from Savannah and family, pressuring perps. I agree. We have Mona Lowry saying, I've got my phone's volume all the way up and I can barely hear you. I was interested in hearing your podcast, but I can barely hear you. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm talking as loud as I can. Can nobody hear me? Let me know. Bye, Mona. It seems to sound a little different on each one of my devices. Let me see if I can turn the volume up. I don't have like a volume. I mean, other people are saying I sound fine, so I don't know. Okay. Anyway, so in other Guthrie news, we know that we are about a day shy of the 6-month mark, so that's going to bring more attention to the case. Yeah, Mona messing with me. Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you, Christy. So that's probably going to get these creators and journalists and reporters to talk about it a little bit more. Nanos did a presser about the case. He comes out and says, well, nobody's cleared. And even though several months ago he says, oh, we've cleared the family, we've cleared this, and that. And now all of a sudden he says nobody's cleared. So now it kind of gets people riled up and curious as to, what do you mean nobody's cleared? You said that the families were cleared. Does this mean the families aren't cleared? And to be honest with you guys, I don't think he means that directed towards the family. I really don't. I think he means that in the whole realm of things, in the big picture here, and I've said this back in the beginning of Kohberger days and in other cases, nobody's ever 100% clear. Just because a sheriff or a police officer or anybody, FBI says, oh, so-and-so's cleared, that just means perhaps they're trying to appease media or appease the phones ringing and asking, can we get a statement? Can we get a comment? Yeah, right now they're cleared. And they're saying right now they're cleared. Right at this, as those words are coming out their mouth, that person's clear. But then 2 seconds later, as like literally a second later, something can happen, like in the universe, as the clock ticks, and all of a sudden, whoever we're speaking on, that person can suddenly not be cleared anymore because a tip has come into the circuit, and it has now told the police or the FBI that we have information on said person, and now, even though they were cleared 5 seconds ago or 2 seconds ago, now they are not cleared anymore because there's a new piece of information that looks pretty interesting and promising. So they're going to open the books back up and erase clear, or maybe just put an dash on clear and look back into them again because they have to revisit that. So until a case is closed and put away, nobody's cleared 100%. They're just cleared during that moment. Like right now, they're all set to move on with their immediate lives, but 100% clear. If they've talked to you, if they've questioned you, if they've collected your items, if they've looked at your phones, you're in that bubble of you're not ever going to be 100% clear until they have their person. Sorry. So that's about the clearing. So that about the nanosuppressor. Next, there was a rootless hair that apparently they found during right after the crime when they had, they did the sweep, the investigators went in to collect DNA and whatever they can find that was left behind, and they found a rootless hair. So this was sent off to labs and to be tested, and apparently it was sent back. And now they want to tell us the results. And this is kind of like, I don't know if it's a play on words or just to shut us up, and so we are all like, okay, yeah, they're working on everything, and okay, good, but this is what they're saying. It says the rootless hair the analyzation has been completed, and it does not point to a suspect. Okay? And that's it. That is what they tell us. It does not point to a suspect. But to me, I'm like, but how do they know it doesn't point to a suspect if we don't have a suspect? So what that tells me is they must have a profile, a suspect profile. Otherwise, how do they know that hair doesn't point to somebody that's a suspect? Am I making sense with that? Like, for whatever reason, it just didn't fully make sense to me. Like, they're saying it doesn't point to a suspect, but how do you know if you guys don't have you're telling us you don't have a suspect? What I think is that either they slipped up on their words, or that they do have a profile of a suspect, and this hair did not match that suspect, and they have the profile, but the profile doesn't match to anybody in CODIS or any databanks or anything because they just have never submitted it. They're either they're not an American, or they've just never submitted a sample. Never did one of the spit tests or anything like that. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Just my opinion. Christina Ann says, wish we could see the search warrant. Yeah, I know. I wish we could see a lot of this stuff. We can't see anything. Okay, so yeah, when Brian Enton was telling us about this whole suspect thing, he also, literally on the heels of that, continues to say how, well, let's hope that because technology is advancing so much that in the coming years, they'll save that hair, or they'll save whatever DNA they do have, and they'll be able to match it up down the line. And this is where I'm thinking exactly what I was saying earlier is, I bet they do have a profile, but they can't tell us, and they just can't, and they haven't been able to match it up because it's like it's just nobody's done, like it's somebody that's not in CODIS, it's somebody that hasn't committed a crime before, or it's somebody in a different country. And because let's say if it's from Mexico, in Mexico, DNA kits like the Ancestry, the 23andMe is just not something that's very popular over there, that's not affordable over there. And they're hoping that in the next year or so, and this is what Mexico as the country is hoping, that in the next year or so that the government is going to have some deal with one of the companies that makes these DNA tests, that they're going to be more easily accessible for their citizens, for their people over there, and then that will generate for them to build a better database with, for their with the members of their community and the citizens over there in Mexico. So that's what the hopes are for the next year, in that, in Mexico, and then maybe they'll be able to get a hit on whatever DNA they were able to collect in the Guthrie home during this case. So Christy says, hear me out. She says, Savannah said, we know you've tried to do right. She was letting someone live in the guest house and they hadn't been paying rent. What if they were supposed to be out February 1st? Well, that's kind of what I was talking about the other day when I was saying, like, what if this is connected from, a community that she was a part of, that Nancy was a part of, stemming back from maybe even Charles, and they were kind of mooching off of her at this point, like it snowballed, like they were taking advantage of her, and that's why her children were like, enough's enough, we want you to stay away from this and do other activities, find some other hobbies, stay away from that. And maybe they knew that she was letting people stay in the casita for periods of time, maybe not paying, because one thing we do know is that when people stay in a cabin or at a casita or rent out a place like that for a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time, or when we go somewhere to just check out for a little bit, it's 9 times out of 10, unless, if you guys want to correct me on this or tell me differently, we don't change our address for our mail to be changed over to our cabin for that 1 week. Because by the time our mail, our actual post office receives the change of address and then gathers our mail and then brings it over to that change of address, we're going to be back home. A week's going to go by, we're going to be back home, and they're going to be like, oh my God, now we got to change it back. I mean, why are you doing it for a week? But we have documentation of several different instances where the casita was, somebody was staying there and they changed their address for a week at a time. For why? Just 1 week. And to me, that stands out, and I want more info. I would love to find out more information as to why somebody thought changing her address for a week, for 1 week's time, was worth the hassle. Does this make sense? Yes. Christy says, I can't get past people saying that the casita looked lived in. They say her house was immaculate. Yes, I actually have a picture of it too. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I have it looking disheveled. Let me see. 1 second. I know it's here somewhere. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I'll show you guys here. So that's her comforter, or that's the comforter on the floor. That's the runner and comforter on the floor. So can you guys see? So that's the runner and that's the comforter on the floor. So yeah, and you can see also, like, hold on, let me try to zoom in on that. You can see right here that it was like walked on quickly, like the runner is like right there. You can see it was like walked on fast, like it's all scrunched up. That's the casita, yes. And the comforter is on the floor. So the sliding door here, the runner, and that's the comforter. Jeannie asks, where did y'all read or hear about the casita visitors? I would have to go back and look. I would have to go back and look. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's in the group. Honestly, it's in the group. So let's see. Thank you everybody for joining and liking and following. Don't forget to subscribe. For the TikTokers, I'm also doing a live on YouTube. If you can go over there and subscribe, that would be awesome. I'd appreciate it. They did find one of her old tenants, but I don't know. I don't remember the follow through with that, or the follow, like what happened. Christy says it is factual. It had been rented a time or two. Yes, absolutely. So what else with the Guthrie? So then we also have this Carlos. I don't know if I'll be able to pronounce his last name. Palulosis. All right, let's just call him Carlos, from Rio Rico, and he filed a lawsuit, and he is filing it on behalf of himself and Daniel. Let's see this guy's name. I wrote it down, but I probably don't have it written properly. It's Daniel something with an M. And Carlos is suing for 2.5 million, Daniel for 500,000, and then Josefina, which is the mother-in-law, for 250,000. So 3 million total is what this lawsuit is for. And they basically are saying that it was a wrongful detainment. They were arrested, they were served, a warrant was served, they confiscated their cell phones, I think they, maybe vehicles. When they served these warrants, they damaged like their doors, they seized the property, they damaged the property, and that resulted in significant loss of goods and all of that, which, you know, the wording that is needed to have this lawsuit. So his lawsuit claims that Nanos perpetrated this arrest, or this, you know, this warrant issuance, because he was trying to take the focus off of his own, kind of how Nanos wasn't doing so hot with the case of Nancy Guthrie, and how he was in the hot seat of kind of messing up, right? And so he pushed this narrative along to make himself look better, that, yeah, I'm working on this, look, I'm issuing warrants, I'm going to arrest this guy. So he did it to kind of save his own reputation, but but in exchange, it ruined Carlos's reputation and this Daniels guy reputation, and also this Josefina mother-in-law reputation. And Brian Enton spoke with Carlos's lawyer and asked, how did they connect Carlos to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie? And his lawyer and this is kind of mucky, like, and it reminds me a little bit of the Kohberger case too, but he says, that Carlos was on the radar because of electronic device pings. His lawyer mentions that Carlos is a food delivery driver, so like a maybe Uber Eats, Postmates, one of those, and that he delivers around and in or near around the Catalina foothills. That's where Nancy lives, and that he could have been in that area during that given time. It's like a geo-tracking called Palantir or something, this system that he says it's like this intelligent gathering tracking system that the government uses for I can't even say the word right now, but triangulation or something, and that it's a surveillance mechanism to cross-reference where his location's based again on his electronic devices, so probably cell phone. The military uses it, the FBI uses it, most police precincts uses it, and he's giving this description of this whole technological system that perhaps the police used to arrest Carlos, this geofencing kind of system, and that's why they did this raid and issued this warrant, all of that, right? But I mean, I don't know if they're going to be using pings and all that. For those of you that followed the Brian Kohberger case, I mean, they're really going to have to present it a little bit better than this. Like, come on, they arrested him. If that's what they're going to base it on, his lawyer wanting to sue for this amount of money and saying it's based off of pings, he can probably have a really good case, but he's gonna have to tighten this up, like tighten it, like the way he's talking about it. It's like you have no idea why they focused in on your client. Like, come on. So that's that. The other thing is Luke Daly. They're kind of focused in on him. One thing that I saw, and I wanted to print it and get it before I sat down for this, but I saw that he has perhaps, and I don't know 100% if this is true or not, that he hasn't given his DNA sample yet. And he's been given a deadline, I believe, of, I think it's August 8th, I'm not positive, to submit his DNA. So that's kind of bizarre to me. The only thing I can think of is because he does have a lawyer, so he's represented, and maybe that's why he hasn't had to submit it yet, but now he has been given a deadline. So that's good news. Meaning, again, I think that they want to run it against something, and again, to me, that tells me they have a profile, and they want to run all these other DNA profiles against the profile that they finally got back. But I'm just speculating. I don't know for sure. Luke Daly does have a lawyer, but he, as far as we know, as of now, he is not suing the county or anything. But when Brian Enton spoke to his lawyer kind of mentioned the same thing, that when asked, why do you think they focused in on your client? He said the same thing, that, oh, no. Well, Brian started saying, oh, his lawyer mentioned kind of the same thing, that they focused in on Luke because of the electronic device pings. But then when listening to his lawyer speak, his lawyer said something different. His lawyer said, perhaps a confidential source threw his name out there as a tip. And that's why they focused in on Luke Daly. Well, if that's why, and his own lawyer is saying this, to me, that tells me that his lawyer must know something. But if that's why did they throw his name out as the tip? Like, why? There's no coincidence, not in my mind. So, so yes. Let's see. So that's pretty much it with Guthrie. I mean, 6 months and we're still waiting, and I think we're gonna be waiting at least another 6 months. I think, as unfortunate as a judge, Christie asks, a judge has to see probable cause to, yes, absolutely. So they had that, and I feel that if there was a confidential source that submitted a tip, that tip had to maybe, was a part of the the warrant, and that's why it was signed off. And all these warrants are still sealed. So nobody's privy to seeing why they were all signed off on, and why these persons were focused in on. They're still sealed, and we don't know why they're sealed. Sassy asks, who is Luke? Luke Daly is a person that was focused on with the Nancy Guthrie case early on in February. So he was just a person that was issued a warrant, they searched, and he's been released, and I was just giving an update about him for the Nancy Guthrie case. Christy says, I always wonder why people think they can go against the law and win. Like it's not going to happen. Oh, I know. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't win. We all know that rarely happens too. I know. Oh, I know. So, that's about it for the Guthrie case. The other thing I was going to talk about is the Lindsay Clancy case. Basically, with the Lindsay Clancy case, this woman, the short of it is she was crying for, in my eyes, she was crying for help for a good, few months, and, or at least I think like 6-7 months, and going to professionals, therapists, medical professionals, even admitting herself to a psychological facility, going to her husband, family members, saying I need help continuously, and it all fell on deaf ears. And in the end, she took the lives of her 3 children, Cora 5, Dawson 3, and her baby Callan of 8 months old, and then tried taking her own life, which she did not successfully do, but she did paralyze herself, and now she's facing her own trial. So that's actively going on this week, and I was going to talk about it, but there's just, yesterday the jury had, they went on the tour to the house where this happened. From my understanding, the house has been sold. The new owners originally were not going to let the jury inside, but the judge overruled it and did let them go inside briefly. They were not allowed to open any closets, doors, look through anything. They were just going to go to the basement and the second floor, I believe, because Lindsay jumped from the second floor, and in the basement is where she committed the crimes, where she killed her children. And then they were going to drive to the restaurant where her husband Patrick picked up dinner, because Lindsay had sent her husband to a restaurant to pick up a to-go order for dinner that night. And then she had also sent him to a CVS location that I guess was not a typical CVS location that they typically pick up their medication from. So the jury was going to, yes, Tiff asks if I'm talking about Lindsay Clancy, yes. So then they were doing like the whole circuit to the CVS, to the restaurant, and then back, just to time it to see if maybe, I guess one of the running theories that the defense, or that that they're presenting, is that Lindsay made her husband, at that time, they are divorced now, her ex-husband Patrick, go on this run for the food and to the CVS on purpose to allow herself more time to commit the murders. So that was one of the things that the jury did yesterday, is a little field trip. So I'm curious to know how that went, and I actually do not know. But it was a 20-minute period that he was gone. She used exercise bands to strangle the children in the basement, and then she attempted suicide by cutting her wrists and then jumping from a second-story window, leaving her paralyzed from the waist down. From my understanding, when Patrick came back, I think he saw her, or he came in and it was quiet or something. I'd have to make sure, but he saw her or heard her or saw something and called 911, and they came, and you can hear him, talking to her and saying, say my name, do you know who I am, or something like that. And then he kind of leaves and is looking for the children because of the silence, and you can hear his screams over the 911 call as he finds his children in the basement. So then the paramedics come and take the children, and from what I understand is they rush them to the hospital. The two older children had very faint heartbeats, but there was no recitation bringing them back. But the baby, they were able to bring his heart rate back to be able to bring him to the ICU, and they kind of stabilized, not so much like stabilized him, but they were able to keep him in the ICU and for at least I think a couple hours, but he did end up passing away later that evening. So of course now she's being charged with murder, and the charges, she has pleaded not guilty, but the charges are 3 counts of first-degree murder, and separate strangulation charges were later dismissed because prosecutors argued that they were legally redundant to the murder charges. I mean, I guess that makes sense, right? Then the defense argues that Lindsay Clancy was suffering from postpartum psychosis, which I actually agree. And it says an uncommon but severe psychiatric illness that can involve delusions, hallucinations, disorganized thinking, and a loss of contact with reality. And here it says it's uncommon. I don't know why it's even saying it's uncommon. I wholeheartedly disagree with it saying it's uncommon. It's more common than I think we are led on to believe and are educated to believe. And I think we need to be better educated with this. I don't know if it's, I don't even know if it's labeled an illness, but I think it's a disorder. I think it's just a condition. It's a condition, honestly. Her attorneys also argue she had been prescribed numerous psychiatric medications in the months before the killings, and that the combination of severe mental illness and medication effects left her not criminally responsible under Massachusetts law. They are not disputing that she killed the children. The prosecutors argue that Clancy carefully planned the killings, waited until her husband left the house, and had enough awareness to understand what she was planning. She was depressed and anxious, but not legally insane. Their position is that postpartum depression or anxiety, even if severe, is not the same as legally insane. They contend she appreciated the wrongfulness of her actions. Okay. Now, Patrick Clancy's testimony, her husband, ex-husband, which I've also learned that he has remarried and has a child now. So one of the most emotional aspects of the trial has been the testimony of Patrick Clancy. He described Lindsay as an attentive, loving mother before her mental health declined. A dramatic deterioration in the months after their youngest child was born, and severe anxiety, insomnia, intrusive thoughts, and repeated psychiatric treatment. Despite the tragedy, Patrick has publicly said he forgives Lindsay and testified in a manner generally supportive of her mental illness defense. As of July 30th, so 2 days ago, the jury has heard Patrick Clancy's testimony, an emotional testimony from the first responders, and a portion of Patrick's 911 call. The audio itself has not been publicly released, and from my research and what I've been told, as of now, it will not be released. It's going to stay sealed. And also evidence describing the crime scene. The trial is expected to include extensive expert testimony from psychiatrists and psychologists from both sides regarding postpartum psychosis, medication effects, and Lindsay Clancy's mental state. While researching this, I've learned that she was prescribed upwards of 30 different medications in, I believe, a 4-month period. And there was a list of it. I don't have it in front of me, but a lot of them were medications like Prozac, Zoloft, Xanax, Wellbutrin, a lot of medications that help with depression, balancing chemicals in the brain, mood stabilizers, calming medications. And to me, it looks like she was looking for that correct balance and how to make her feel like Lindsay again. And all the efforts that she was putting towards this, they were probably making her feel worse. And it just, to me, it looks like she was trying. She kept trying. I mean, we see that she kept telling people, she was asking for help. She would talk to her husband about it. She would check herself into mental facilities. I think she did it twice even. The second time, I think she checked herself out a day early only because she wanted to make it for her daughter Cora's birthday, because it was her daughter Cora's birthday, so she checked herself out a day early. That's the only reason. Other than that, she followed through with every treatment in front of her. A lot of people want to say that, sure, she followed through with the treatments, but she didn't follow through on all the medications. That's why she had upwards of 30. Well, in my opinion, I would assume that's because she would try them and they weren't giving her the results that she was looking for. She was being prescribed something that she wasn't asking for. Like, she's telling her doctor, I'm feeling XYZ, and they're like, oh, here. They're just prescribing her stuff. And she's like, this is not what I'm looking for. You're just altering my mind and you're making me a zombie and you're making it worse. Like, I'm having intrusive thoughts now. Please, I need something different. And she's going and asking for more and more and more. And they're just giving her stuff that is messing with her brain even more. And she's continuously asking for help. And also she's a labor and delivery nurse. So this is, children are her life. Like, it's not like she has some kind of angst towards children or, it's just, this is totally out of the ordinary for her. And then also I guess from, people around her and her people closest to her and her husband, she was on maternity leave after having her third child, Callan, and she extended the maternity leave, I think once and then twice. And a lot of her anxiety and depression and this insomnia was revolved around the fact that she had to go back to work. She didn't want to leave the baby. She didn't want to leave her children. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And whether finances or I honestly, I don't know what was the deciding factor on why she had to go back to work. I truly don't know, but there was, she had to go back. So that was weighing on her heavily too. And then I guess during her therapy and all that, which, for those of us that do go to therapy or start off with sessions and stuff, a lot of times we're told, hey, you know what? Why don't you start with a journal? Why don't you start jotting down your thoughts and reflecting on your daily adventures and maybe at the end of the month, we can read through that and see what we can do better, right? So she started a diary. And so in this diary, she's trying to figure out this balance and how her days are going. And apparently in this diary, she wrote something how she wished that she can give her baby Callan the attention of the same attention, something along the lines of like the firstborn attention, insinuating something that she wished Cora and Dawson weren't there so she can give Callan the firstborn attention. And then she quickly realized how that sounded, and she took it back and wrote how she felt writing that. And she fixed it. She fixed her blunder, which is, in my mind, I'm thinking, isn't that what she was instructed to do? And now somebody had found her diary, and now you guys are going to throw it in her face and make her seem even more crazy? She's asking for help, and she did what she was asked to do, and now you're going to throw it in her face and make her go to jail for it and all this. Like, she was asking for help. This shouldn't have gone this far. But all right, I digress. So yeah, I just feel bad for the lady. I hope that she is getting the help that she needs and is on a medication journey that is helping her finally. Jeannie says she should be in a mental facility, not on a trial. I agree. I really, yeah, Jeannie mentioned Andrea Yates. Yes, this is like a Andrea Yates. It's sad. I feel terrible for her. Another question that's on everybody's mind is if she's going to testify. I don't know if she's going to, and honestly, I hope she doesn't. I think she's gone through enough, but she doesn't deny it. Like, she never denied that she needed help. She doesn't. So I feel bad for her. So that's about it. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments or concerns? Thank you for watching, everybody. Don't forget to give me a like, a follow, a share, subscribe to my YouTube, please. I need more subscribers so I can do this more. And have a great Saturday. Have a great Sunday tomorrow. And it's August 1st. Happy August. And thank you. Thanks for watching, and good night. Bye.